The first thing I noticed after crashing was that the moon smelled faintly like burnt mint, which was impressive considering my helmet was still on and half melted. I stood there in the smoking crater wondering if this was how heroes' journeys began or how idiots' journeys ended. The suit's diagnostics blinked random colors, which I chose to interpret as fine, because the alternative would require effort. I kicked the leg joint twice. It made a sad metallic sound that suggested despair. Silver fog drifted in slow spirals across the ground, part natural phenomenon, part something pretending it was natural. My boots left little blue sparks with every step. I told myself that was normal. It was. I heard movement behind me and spun with my blaster raised, only to see a figure stepping through the fog with the confidence of someone who was either very powerful or very lost. She looked almost human, except for the long ears rising elegantly from her hair, twitching as if tuning themselves to the universe. She stared at me like I was the strange one. "You are standing in my landing zone," she said. "Your landing zone." I gestured to the crater, pretty sure I made this just now. Her ears swayed in a way that made it hard to tell if she was judging me or amused. Yes, and yet it was mine first. I failed to think of a smart response. "Right, of course." She stepped closer, examining my damaged armor with the calm interest of someone inspecting a mildly disappointing sculpture. "You should move. More unpleasant things than you will arrive soon." "Unpleasant how?" She glanced at the sky where faint shadows flickered like sharks underwater. "Assassins." "Assassins," I repeated, "and you're casually warning me." "It would be discourteous to let you die uninformed." Before I could process that, she motioned for me to follow and turned, gliding across the glowing moss. I jogged after her because staying behind felt like volunteering for an obituary. The fog parted as she walked. My helmet sensors beeped and shut off. "You are human," she said. "I've been told that." That explains the clumsy descent. Hey, I passed every orbital insertion exam. Did you pass them well? Passing is passing. We entered a forest of crystalline trunks that hummed softly, resonating with our footsteps. The ground pulsed with bioluminescent waves, as if the planet was either soothing me or judging me. "Why are assassins after you?" I asked. She hesitated. "Because I am inconvenient." "That's not an answer." "It is the only one now." She stopped abruptly, ears flicking. A metal dart embedded itself in a trunk where my head had been. She sighed. "They're early." I dove behind a trunk while she remained exposed. "You know what cover is, right?" "I do not require it." She lifted her hand, releasing a ripple of energy. A distant thud followed. "That was one," she said. "One what?" "One assassin." "That's comforting." She nodded toward a ravine. "We must keep moving." I followed. "You never told me your name." "I am Lyria." She paused. "And you are Kale Riven." "My ident tag is inside my suit." "Yes." I decided not to ask. We crossed a stone bridge that sang beneath us. She moved gracefully while I nearly slipped twice. When the fog thinned, she turned to me. "There is something you must know. Please tell me it's not more assassins." "No, it is about me." She stepped closer, long ears lifting. "I am the newly ascended queen of this world, and you, Kale Riven, are the one I have chosen." "Chosen for what?" I stared at her, waiting for some clarification, ideally one that didn't involve royalty, destiny, or anything requiring fancy clothes. The breeze shifted, carrying a soft chime from the crystalline trees. Lyria watched me with calm patience, like someone waiting for a datapad to finish loading. I opened my mouth, then closed it again, unsure which question to start with. She tilted her head. "You appear overwhelmed." Overwhelmed is a strong word. I'd say cosmically confused. That is expected. Humans process revelation slowly. "I process just fine," I said, then immediately contradicted myself by tripping over a glowing root. She caught my arm before I fell. Her touch was steady, cool, almost static charged. "You are safe," she said, though I wasn't sure if she meant from the fall or from everything else. Look, I said, queens don't choose people like me. I'm a soldier, a very average one, exceptionally average. Her ears twitched in amusement. Average does not concern me, resonance does. Resonance. It will become clear soon. She released my arm gently. For now, staying alive takes priority. A distant rumble echoed across the valley. Lyria's eyes narrowed. More are coming. More assassins. No, she said, worse advisors. She turned toward a ridge where the air shimmered faintly. Felt like a gate. Lyria's worse than assassins turned out to be three tall figures draped in shimmering layers of violet fabric, each wearing an expression suggesting they had been born disapproving and had only refined the skill over centuries. Their long ears were adorned with delicate metallic rings that chimed softly whenever they turned, usually to look at me as if I were a misplaced houseplant. The one in front spoke first, voice smooth and steeped in authority. "Your Majesty," he said, though the way he pronounced it made it sound like a complaint, "you were expected at the Ascension Hall." "I was busy avoiding attempts on my life," Lyria replied. "Apologies for the delay." The advisor's eyes flicked to me, "And this is?" I attempted a polite wave. "Kale, just Kale." His eyebrow rose. "A human." "Yes," I said helpfully. Lyria stepped between us. "He is under my protection." The advisor inhaled sharply, the universal gesture for absolutely not. "Majesty, bringing an offworlder into royal matters is ill-advised." "He is not merely an offworlder," she said. "Please don't say anything alarming," I whispered. "He is the one I have chosen." I sighed internally. Alarming it was. The advisor froze momentarily, then turned to his companions with the subtle panic of a man who had just been handed a live plasma grenade and told to smile. "We shall discuss this in an appropriate location," he said. They led us across a ridge where the air shimmered as if heated, though no warmth touched my skin. A gateway unfurled, a curtain of translucent light that parted as we approached. Beyond it lay a vast floating city suspended over a lake of iridescent mist. Towers spiraled like strands of DNA, glowing softly with embedded runes. Small skimmers darted through the air, leaving trails of shifting colors. I stared openly. "Your world has style." "It is functional," the advisor said, sounding offended by the idea of aesthetics. Inside the Hall of Resonance everything hummed, literally hummed. The floors vibrated with a rhythm that made my boots buzz. Bioluminescent panels shifted patterns according to our steps. Lyria walked with the grace of someone born to it. I walked like I was trying not to break anything. While the advisors argued amongst themselves in a melodic language, Lyria turned to me. "You are very calm." Calm is a strong word. I'm internally panicking at a respectable volume. Her ears lifted in amusement. "Your thoughts are unusually loud." "My thoughts, you're hearing my thoughts." She blinked. Not intentionally, they brushed mine for a moment. "That's horrifying." "It is rare and significant." We were escorted into a circular chamber full of seated council members. All of them turned toward us, their expressions ranging from curiosity to deep existential regret. The eldest counselor rose, his voice resonating through the chamber. "Queen Lyria, your ascension requires stability. Your declaration of a chosen partner, especially a human, threatens that." Lyria stood calmly. "The resonance has begun." Whispers erupted. I raised a hand. To clarify, I didn't resonate anything. If anything resonated, it did so without my permission. The eldest counselor fixed his gaze on me. "Human Kale, approach." "I'd rather not," I said. "It is not a request," Lyria murmured. I stepped onto a platform that lit beneath me. A soft pulse rippled up my spine, causing every hair on my body to stand at attention. Lyria joined me. The moment her hand brushed mine, the platform ignited in a swirling pattern of light. A breeze indoors, for some reason, whipped around us. My mind surged with warmth not my own, a faint echo of her presence brushing against me with surprising gentleness. The council chamber gasped. "That should not be possible," someone whispered. "I wholeheartedly agree," I muttered. Lyria's eyes softened. The bond accepts you. I didn't apply for the bond, I whispered. It does not require application. The council descended into chaos. One advisor declared this was the sign of an ancient prophecy. Another insisted it was a system malfunction. A third suggested unplugging the platform and plugging it back in. Through the noise, Lyria remained still. "This confirms my choice," she said. The eldest counselor struck his staff. "Majesty, this human cannot fulfill the role expected of a royal consort. His species is not compatible." "I am standing right here," I said. "And yet," Lyria said, "the resonance responded to him." The counselor's glare shifted to me. "If he is to remain, he must undergo evaluation." "That sounds medical," I said, "and I bruise easily." Lyria placed a hand on my arm. "You will not be harmed. That's what people say before harm happens." "It will be painless," she insisted. The evaluation chamber turned out to be a spherical room filled with floating crystalline lenses that rotated around me, scanning me with beams of soft blue light. Panels displayed shifting readings I pretended to understand. Lyria watched with calm focus. I tried to appear dignified, which was difficult because one of the rotating lenses kept bumping my shoulder. After a long silence, the evaluator spoke. "There is compatibility." The council gasped again. I was beginning to suspect they practiced gasping as a group activity. "Compatibility does not guarantee suitability," the eldest said. "No," Lyria agreed, "but he has already risked his life for me." "I ran because assassins were shooting at me," I said. "A noble instinct," she replied. The council huddled. After several tense minutes and more gasping, they returned with a decision. "The Queen may keep the human," the eldest declared, "for now." "That sounded like I'm a pet," I whispered. Lyria ignored that. "We must leave. There will be more attempts." "On your life?" I asked. "On yours as well," she said. "You are part of this now." I groaned. "Fantastic." "In addition," she said, walking beside me as we exited the hall, "you should prepare." "For what?" "For meeting the rival faction." "Are they trying to kill you too?" "No," she said. "They are trying to kidnap you." "Oh good," I muttered. "Nice to feel wanted." The first sign that things were about to go terribly wrong was the royal spire shaking with enough force to rattle my teeth. The second sign was Lyria calmly stating, "The rival faction has begun their attack," while an explosion lit the skyline behind her like a festive but deeply concerning fireworks display. I grabbed my blaster. She grabbed my wrist. "No firing unless necessary," she said. "Define necessary." "When you are dead." That's an unhelpfully late threshold. The spire tilted slightly, and a chunk of ceiling drifted downward in slow motion, before being caught by a gravity stabilizer that flickered and decided it was tired of its job. It released the chunk, which then crashed beside me. Lyria gave the machine an unimpressed stare. "Maintenance has been neglected," she said. "We're going to die from budget cuts," I muttered. We ran through a corridor that pulsed red with alarm lights. Lyria guided us with unnerving confidence, her long ears flicking with every distant shockwave. I stumbled behind her, trying to appear heroic instead of terrified. The telepathic resonance between us kept sparking unintentionally, adding helpful insights like her catching stray thoughts of mine. Yes, her ears were still unfairly cute. Yes, she heard that. Yes, she was trying not to smile. We burst into a transit platform filled with crackling energy streams. A rival faction skimmer swooped in, firing concussive pulses that shattered a railing. Lyria grabbed my arm and pulled me behind a shield pillar. "They want you alive," she said. "That's strangely comforting." "The comfort ends if they succeed." I peeked out, less comforting. The skimmer banked sharply. I fired a single shot that grazed its propulsion ring, sending it wobbling. It clipped the platform and spiraled off into the mist below. I felt a rush in my chest, fear mixed with something fiercer, purpose maybe, or a panic attack. Lyria placed a hand on my shoulder. "Your instincts align with the resonance." That's a fancy way of saying I got lucky. It is a compliment nonetheless. We hurried into a lift that shot us upward through a transparent shaft. The rival faction leader's voice echoed through the city's commnet, offering mercy to any who surrendered the Queen's human. I stared at Lyria. She stared back, her expression something fierce and quiet. "I cause a lot of political problems," I said. "Yes," she replied. "It is one of your defining traits." The lift opened onto the atmospheric bridge, a sweeping arch of luminous crystal stretching over the swirling clouds. It was beautiful in the kind of way that made me wish it wasn't the setting for a last stand. Soldiers from the rival faction approached from the far side. Their weapons hummed. Lyria stepped forward, regal and unshaken. "This ends now." Their leader emerged, his own ears sharp and severe. "Abandon the human," he said. "Your claim to the throne collapses with him." Lyria looked back at me, then forward again. "I will not." The resonance between us surged without warning. A wind spun around the bridge, rippling through the crystal. The soldiers hesitated. I felt her presence inside my thoughts, not intrusive, not overwhelming, just there, steady, trusting. I stepped beside her. "If you're standing here," I said, "then so am I." "That statement is strategically unsound," she whispered. "Too late to retract it." Together we faced them. Lyria raised her hand and released a shimmering wave of energy, not an attack, but a projection. Light spiraled into the air, showing the resonance pattern the council had seen. Proof of the bond. Proof I hadn't faked my way into royal chaos. The rival soldiers faltered. Their leader tried to shout orders, but his own warriors stepped back, shaken by a bond that wasn't supposed to exist. Lyria pressed her palm to mine. The resonance flared into a radiant pulse that swept the entire bridge. Not harmful, just undeniable. By the time the light faded, the rival faction leader was on one knee. "The ancient harmony accepts them," he whispered. "We cannot oppose this." Lyria exhaled softly. I realized she'd been holding more weight than she ever let show. The remaining soldiers lowered their weapons. The assault ceased. The spire stabilized. The sky calmed, leaving only the glow of the twin moons reflecting off the crystal bridge. Lyria turned to me. "You changed today." "I'm still me," I said. "You are more. You chose to stand with me when you could have run. Running is exhausting." "It was courage." I tried to shrug, but she stepped closer, her long ears tilting slightly forward. "Kale Riven," she said, voice warm. "Your presence reshaped the path of a queen." "And you," I said, surprising myself with the steadiness in my chest, "reshaped a very average soldier." She smiled, small, rare, brilliant. The kind of smile that made all the panic worthwhile. In the days that followed, peace settled unsteadily but genuinely across her world. The council begrudgingly accepted me, mostly because the resonance kept demonstrating itself whenever I had an emotionally strong moment. Which was often, mostly around Lyria, and mostly when I tried to deny it. One evening atop the restored spire, we stood watching the moons drift across the horizon. The air shimmered with soft magnetic currents. Lyria leaned beside me. "Are you prepared for the responsibilities of